This is the Bottom Shot Podcast.
Pulvereri is up high. They come out of turn number 4. Stutter between the turns. The fans come to their feet.
It is Ted Christopher still in command. Keith Rocco right there on his back bumper.
Bringing Stafford Motor Speedway's past and present together.
They are side by side running for the finish line. It's a photo finish.
Deep into turn number 3. He goes in deeper than most. Christopher is in trouble. It is Keith Rocco to slingshot to the bottom, and he'll take down the win.
A Stafford Motor Speedway production where we will hear from the personalities from the past and present that found success on the legendary half-mile oval.
The scoreboard shows goose eggs as they wait. It's Pulvereri. He wins it by inches over Richie Evans in the Spring Sizzler.
Unbelievable chain of events.
Now, here are your hosts, Paula Root and Kyle Rickey. Welcome to episode number 7 of the Bottom Shot Podcast. Kyle Rickey joined by Stafford Motor Speedway COO Paul LaRoute, and it's been a great run thus far during this 2019-2020 off-season. The Napa Spring Sizzler right around the corner, but another great guest coming up here today to join the previous 6, which have really built this show up here the last month and a half or so.
Yeah, so episode 7, we haven't been canceled yet, which is fantastic. The bosses, both of the bosses, actually all 3 of the bosses, love the show, and we appreciate all our listeners and viewers. We've gotten amazing feedback from everyone, and we have a great guest today, Mike Christopher. Senior, not junior. 3-time SK Modified champion. Really talented driver and a really important part of the SK Modified story. And we know he's a character who's got a lot to say.
Yep.
So it should be a great interview, and it's going to be fun.
28-time Stafford winner. Obviously, most of those in a modified. Also has a Busch North
All
win.
of them in a modified.
All
in
them
SK Modifieds.
In a modified, plus the a Busch North start here. Not a win back in the 1996 season. And now a dad here at the racetrack every Friday night.
Yeah, and he's also – what's interesting about Mike is that he also builds all his own equipment, even the engines, which is not common in really any type of racing at all anymore, especially in New England. And he takes a lot of pride in that, and I bet you he's going to have a whole tale about why it's better to build his own stuff, and it'll be interesting to kind of get that take. And Mike Jr. has had a really good couple. Well, 2019 was one to probably they want to just put behind them, but 4 wins in 2018.
Yep.
Driving his Uncle Ted's old car, which is cool. I know the night he grabbed that initial first a win, there was some old men in the stands that were pretty emotional, and it was cool. It was a cool night, and if you want to check out our channel online, we have a great story that Abanza put together about that night. He sat down and talked to Mike Jr. about that event, and it's a really cool piece.
That first win 2 years ago, followed up by wrapping up the 2018 season with 3 consecutive wins for Mike Christopher Jr. Mike Christopher Sr. will join us here in a moment, but we're going to talk T-shirts now.
Let's talk about the late models.
Let's talk about the late models. All right, we'll talk about
I
T-shirts
love
here in a
late
little
models.
bit. Late
You know
models.
that.
Well, yeah, you're in the field every week.
Yeah, I try to be.
It's going to be another solid season here in 2020. Last week we talked about 61 SK Modified entries already. Late models are pouring in as
the
well.
30s. Yeah, we have a good. Looking down the roster, there's a good solid 20 guys that will definitely be here on a weekly basis, and then another 5 to 10 that are going to be comers and goers. But talented field. There's a lot of drivers that are coming out that are going to be able to contend with Tom Fern in 2020, I think.
Guys like Tyler Leary and Ryan Fern, Michael Bennett, the 2015 track champion, Daryl Keene, Al Saunders, R.J. Serdell, Michael Ray, yourself.
Yeah.
Just to name a few. Peter Thickett just filed an entry to run here most of the summer. So, yeah, everybody's going to be gunning for Tom, 3-time champion. He's won the last couple, but this could be the year that train comes off the track.
So I think the guys you're going to want to keep an eye on are the Saunders twins.
Yep.
Is they came out in 2019. I think between the two of them, they won 5 or 6 events. And what's really interesting about them is they've been around Stafford for a long time. They're from town, and they started in the Dare Stocks, went to the Limiteds. They spent a lot of time in both divisions, and this is probably their fifth campaign in the late model class. And what's cool about them is they do it all themselves as well. They set those cars up themselves, and they've learned a lot. And both of those cars have been really, really quick out of the gate. And I think, between the two of them, they could be a factor this year.
Absolutely. One of about 12 or 15 guys that could probably win any given week. Dwayne Provost, Mark Curtis, a newcomer as well. So a lot of names for that late model field this season. Some other news involving Tom Fern. He enters the Pro Late Model 80 here, the Call Before You Dig 81 on Friday, May 29th.
Yeah, we have two past late model champions in that event now. Adam Gray also has an entry in, but Tommy is going to be interesting. He's got an old car. He's pretty confident they're going to be quick. Gonna compete with a conventional setup. Those cars allowed the bump stops, which makes a big, it helps those cars turn a lot better. But they're gonna go with the conventional setup, according to Tom. And I imagine he could be just not showing his hand in typical Tom Fern fashion. But they know how to get around Stafford. They know how to, set the car up the way, it's an 80 lap event, so it's not like an extra distance. It's not that, it's long, but it's not a long event.
Right.
Tom will definitely be a factor, and I think Adam Gray is probably, in my mind, the favorite, just because he competes in those cars a lot more often. It's going to be a good show. We have a mix of guys that have never been to the track before, but are talented out at other tracks, like a Jake Johnson or Michael Sullivan. There's some good drivers, and it's turning into just like the mods, invaders against the regulars, which I love, because we're gonna play that up to no end. So.
Absolutely. Again, Friday, May 29th, the Pro Late Models Call Before You Dig 81 here at the Stafford Motor Speedway. Going to be a fun night to wrap up the month of May. And we talking about Tom Fern, we expect him to be a guest here on the podcast in the not too distant future. But coming up next, Mike Christopher Sr. will join us here in studio at the Stafford Motor Speedway on the Bottom Shot Podcast. As promised, Mike Christopher Sr. joins us here in studio. Welcome to the studio / bar / clubhouse here at Stafford.
Great place.
Thanks for coming out.
Of course.
We're glad to have you.
All right.
So I kind of want to tell you about the show a bit. So the goal of the show is kind of just to get down all the tall tales.
There's a lot.
There's a lot of tales out there that, kind of the stories you heard about, but you don't know if they're true or not. And there's plenty of them between you and Teddy and all the times over the years at Stafford. So kind of get us going. Talk to us about how you got interested in driving and competing, and how'd you get started in racing?
The probably weirdest story is Teddy and I really didn't watch much racing. Went to Plainville Stadium a few times because obviously we lived in Plainville, So one weekend, I guess it was the Sizzler weekend, or it was supposed to be the Sizzler, right? We go, let's go to the Sizzler and watch the race, We had a Camaro, 73 white Camaro. I don't know if we owned it together at that point, but we took that up here. So we wheel up here, right? We get in the parking lot. Nobody's here. We're on the wrong day. Like, what the fuck, man? Two stupid bastards sitting there, right, going, holy cow, man. We're not at the race. There's no race. So a friend of mine, Corky Hines, says, hey, there's some go-kart track up in Pomfret, Connecticut, which, we don't even know where that is. No cell phones, right? No GPS, how to get there. Somehow, we find that place. Like, we leave Stafford and say, let's go.
On the same day?
Yeah, because we're all here. Like, well, let's do something. So we wheel up to Pomfret, and we find it. You've been there. You've been to Pomfret?
In the middle of nowhere, on this little dirt road at the bottom of a bank.
Bottom of a farm, take a left off of 244, drive past this farm going, okay. And then you drive down the hill, and there you are. Well, we find that place, and from there it was like, oh, this stuff's pretty cool. Never raced anything, We had a couple carts. The one cart we had that had the 13 on it, we had bought that in Plainville. It was in this garage for years. drive by it with my bicycle, look at that thing sitting in the back of this repair shop, Somehow my old man bought the thing, and that's how we got 13, because it was on.
Oh, it was already on.
They had a panel that
Wow.
used to be on
so
the front of it.
that's how the 13 began. It was
Yeah.
already on the car.
Yeah.
Cart.
Yeah. Cart. Yeah, nobody even knew that.
Wow.
So I have some other cart built up, we were building something, and we go to this place to race, right? I'm like, well, this is pretty, we don't know anything about it, green flag is go. Like, we know nothing about this sport, right? So we're racing. I'm leading the show. My first time ever in a go-kart. I'm like, wow, this is great. So all of a sudden, I'm like, uh-oh. My 8-pound head, which has no strength in it, right? Little Pomfret, that circular thing, it's hanging off, right? It's hanging off. I'm like in the outfield, in the grandstands with my head. Hey, everybody whistles by me. I lose, or whatever I finished, but that was it. I'm like, oh, we need to build.
It's harder
some
than it looks, isn't it?
Yeah. Like you have to build all those muscles up that you never use. But next thing you know, we're spending money like madmen, going racing, buying carts, doing this stuff, and we did that for a long, long time. Nationally, raced all over the place with it, Daytona. We'd take off on Christmas, right?
So you did Kart Week in Daytona.
Oh yeah, it would be Christmas. We'd open our presents, right? See you, Mom. We're leaving for Daytona for a week.
On the big track?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, those guys. You guys are crazy. You guys did that on the big track?
Big
the
track,
laydowns?
laydowns and sit-ups on the big track, half-hour and hour races. That's what they were.
Wow.
For a week. And then we'd race Daytona Memorial Stadium on dirt.
Whoa, that's cool.
Hey, we'd pack like 8 guys in a motel room down on the beach, right? Get some hotel with like 8 guys in the room. Show up, how many guys? 2. Just pay for that, and just everybody
But
would
can
chip
we
in.
get 8 keys?
Yeah, right, exactly. But race that I don't know when we actually started racing nationally. Obviously, started doing really good locally at Pomfret. Did some Lashway. There was a track there. Minimal dirt stuff. Every once in a while, I think Teddy did it a few times, but mostly just asphalt stuff. Then started traveling national all over the place, because they would have national races at Daytona, Charlotte, blah, 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 all those places. And they were hour-long enduro races. And then half-hour sit-up races. Just a sit-up. They still call them a sit-up.
I just can't even. When I watched the video of those guys on the banks, I'm like, those dudes are insane.
Oh, it's great.
Is it fun? Like, was it
it was-
immediately that it
Oh,
was like,
yeah.
I'm hooked on this. I'm
yeah.
always doing this for the rest of my life.
Well, we just like doing it,
Yeah.
I mean, we would show up at Daytona. We had a big box van when we really started, really getting into it. We'd pack it with go-karts. Like, we'd show up with like 8 go-karts. Run every division we could
How old are
think
you
of.
then? Are you in your 20s?
We started at 18, and then I ran the carts all the way till 25. Yeah.
And so you're building them and you're like assembling.
I had a cart shop, too.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like, we were buying so much stuff. The one guy we were buying from, this guy Tiny, he goes, you're doing so much. Why don't you just become a dealer with all this stuff? So that I did, So we would sell carts, sell parts. I had my own dyno. We would dyno
You were
engines.
the
and
real deal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. When we really started getting into it, mostly me. Teddy wasn't really running the business. I was, We had this little shop in Plainville. A friend of mine that used to build our engines. We would dyno on a Saturday, Now you're talking 2 strokes. 2 strokes, no mufflers. Loud as anything, right? We'd be dynoing in Plainville, right? Well, for like an hour or so, all of a sudden, whoo, cops show up. Hey, gotta shut it down. Neighbors are complaining. We'd stop for like an hour or 2, back at it again, Yeah, we did a lot of stuff with that. Karting was extremely, extremely fun.
You mentioned Pomfret. Woodstock Fair was also big
God.
up here, and that's like a 4-day party, 5-day party for you guys.
On dirt, when we
Yep,
started,
yep.
wasn't asphalt. We would sleep at the track, under this like trailer. No showers, like shower in the bathroom, We didn't, I tell you, Teddy and I, we were like cuckoo for that stuff. We didn't care where we went, how we got there. We would never even like, we tell my mom, yeah, we're going to this track in New York somewhere. We'd have those like flip things, triptychs from AAA. That's how you would find out.
Like a
anything.
maps or something?
Yeah, it was so cool. You call up AAA, say you're going from Plainville to Woodstock, New York,
yeah.
or Poughkeepsie.
Right.
They'd give you this ticket, and it would flip. It'd say, okay, you start out on 72, and then you flip the next page, you go to the next one. That's how you got somewhere.
Yeah, so it's like a MapQuest
Yeah.
book.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like any of the other tracks we went to. If we went to Pocono, we used to run Pocono probably 3 times a year, I think.
That wasn't
on the big speedway.
Come on the big track?
Dude, it was so wild, drafting and shit. Pushing guys, going by guys like crazy. When we went to Daytona, right? Daytona, when you would start the enduro race, we would start on pit road. They'd line up everybody on an angle.
Yeah.
100 go-karts. I'm talking 100 carts lined up. That's how many were in the divisions. Like an enduro division would be 100. A sit-up division, 100 carts. And they go like this, 60 seconds, 30 seconds.
So it's like a dirt
drop
bike
the
race.
green, and everybody go like this. And you run the big speedway for the first lap, and then go into the road course, and then back. Same course that they run like
That's cool.
24 hours.
The Clash is going to be on that this year. Yeah?
It
There
is.
you go.
That'll be really
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
And then so, what kind of you just go into the Sizzler just because you have a Camaro and you're like, I like cars, or is there anyone around you who likes?
I can't even tell you.
sport?
We had some interest because, like I said, Teddy had more of an interest at Plainville. I think he went a little bit more than I did.
So you knew of the track in
Something-
Plainville, obviously. 'Cause
Yeah,
you're in
yeah.
town.
And
Okay.
then I don't know if we just had somebody told us about it, and we said, okay, let's go there.
That's
But
awesome.
Literally, we're the only guys in the park.
That's
Man,
that's awesome.
It was crazy.
So with the carts, before we move on from carts, was there anything that ever scared you guys? Any incidents on these big racetracks? I mean, Daytona, Pocono, that something happened? We're like, yeah, maybe we don't want to do this.
Nothing. No, we were like fearless about it. Never thought about wrecking, crashing, or anything like that. Like we had these little kids that used to go with us, kids in the neighborhood. They were probably 10 and 12 years old. Dad had died from Lou Gehrig's. So they were like kids we knew from the neighborhood. They were our pit crew. Like these little kids would go
That's
with us.
awesome.
Oh, it was great.
That's so cool.
So Teddy's racing somewhere. I wasn't with him, but he was with one of the kids, this kid, Corey Manila, right? He crashes, breaks his collarbone. That's
Wow.
just him and this
And his
kid.
10-year-old kid.
The little kid looks up and goes, how am I going to get home? You know, because he's got a broken collarbone.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
They were like they were two of our best crew members, believe it or not.
So who was the better driver out of the gate there?
You know,
can't
I
say?
can't
You can't-
say we both won a lot of races and did a lot of stuff in it. You know, we were both pretty accomplished at it. Had to learn it, you know.
Yeah.
I'd say he was a little bit better time trials. Some time trial races we were time trial, you know. But I think, like, it got to the point where when we would show up with that van, it was like everybody else is racing for third and fourth and fifth and so forth. You know, we were really getting accomplished at it, having good equipment, you know, great motors, had a, you know, just somebody that did our stuff down south. But literally, we never scaled a go-kart. We knew nothing about, and I don't think anybody really did back then. It was just get into things and wheel
drive
them,
it.
you know. And we look at tires, you know, they have little wear marks in them, you know. Oh, it looks like you maybe need one.
Huh, interesting.
Never checked anything on it or anything like that.
Wow.
Yeah. But we got so accomplished at it that it was kind of at the point as it got on, Teddy got out because, you know, we would win, not everywhere, but, you know, there wasn't much of a challenge left to it,
Sure.
you know. One year I chased national points on an Enduro, finished third on it. You know, but it wasn't like we
You
needed
kind
to
of you
continue
made the
it.
top. You were at the top.
Yeah,
You were feeling
yeah.
good.
There was a lot less challenge to it.
So then what causes the transition into a modified? And
Man.
was it at Stafford initially?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't even know how he got to that point, but in '83 he bought a car from LaJoy.
Okay.
Really good. I remember we backed it into my old man's garage because we didn't have any place to really keep it, you know. So we had a car and a half garage in Grand Avenue in Plainville. And loaded, they gave him every spare possible, like loaded with wheels and this and parts, you know, because LaJoy got out of it and didn't want it, so Ted bought it all. I can't tell you how he even got into that point of it, you know. The next thing you know, we're doing those things, but we knew nothing about those things.
That was a little
Zero.
different than the carts, huh?
Oh, yeah. You know, car, bigger, heavier,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. But I remember to this day, we were standing by the bathrooms at Stafford, and early on, I don't really know when it was, and somebody we were talking to says, hey, what do you guys, you know, asking about the car, how it's going. Well, what do you have for staggering it? He and I look at each other, look at the guy, go, what the fuck is staggering? Like, literally did not know what that meant.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
We'd paint the McCreary's, like they were, you know, white.
Yeah.
Sometimes we paint the Mercury and it's like, oh, that looks good. We're ready to go.
That's
swear
your
to-
tire prep?
Yeah,
Tire
right.
prep is made the McCreary.
Yeah, we would do that. Yeah, we had
So-
no clue about it.
So Ted initially came to Stafford before you did?
Yes,
So that's
he ran
in
almost 2
83.
years.
Okay.
I didn't start until '85.
And so you kept in the carts a while?
Yeah, I kept in it for a while, you know, but I knew it was like, you know, we were doing it always together, so it was just cool just going together, you know.
Yeah.
But when you're by yourself, it was a lot different. You know, I was still maintaining the business, but I knew it was like, it wasn't much of a challenge for me anymore. You know, I said, so we'll start, going, I'll do that too. I mean, literally, when I decided to do it, I don't know how I met this guy, Mike Albanese, and his grandson actually races at Thompson. Justin Albanese, yeah. Mike was involved with the guys, St. Angelo. He used to race Seekonk.
Yeah.
Yep, John and his brother, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eddie. Yep. So they used to build cars. They knew a lot about the stuff. Somehow I talked to him, $6,500, I'll sell you a car race ready. I'll bring it to the Sizzler. I'm like, dude, that's pretty good. There's still a lot of money, Delivers the car to the Sizzler for me.
Delivered it to the Sizzler.
Yeah. Oh,
so
yeah.
you just showed up with your helmet and you're like, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, right. I'll take it back, but he says, I'll bring it there. It'll be ready to go, right? So I get in.
And this is 85?
85, yeah. I get out there. I remember getting out the first time in it. Like, look, when Teddy and I raced go-karts, we're talking, they were about 300, weight-wise also. About 300 pounds we'd have to weigh in certain divisions, but about 25 horsepower. Two strokes that were very, very fast. I mean, you held on to race these things. These things were fast. I remember driving that thing the first time going, this thing does nothing for me. It's like, okay, this is not
easy for you.
Yeah,
The
no
car
sensation
control-wise,
of real speed or holy shit, the thing goes. So I'm practicing, right, and I'm gauge watching, I'm like, holy shit, the oil pressure's dropping. So I click the thing off, right? I'm like, what the fuck? We bring it into the pits, right? Mike comes over. I go, the thing doesn't have any oil pressure, right? Hey, we pull the pan down. The pump fell down.
Oh.
We bolt it back up and go back out.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So your first time out, you could have blew the thing up.
Exactly. Luckily, I was paying attention to it. I
That
even
would have
told my
probably
kid.
put you out of business.
Oh, yeah. Because not like we had we would just scrape and
Early
let it
days,
work.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when Teddy was working, we both started at Tilcon working regular jobs. I was working in the garage because my dad ran the garage, which was Tommaso Brothers back then, big construction place in Plainville. He was doing the same thing, and then he decided he didn't want to do that. They used to have a guy come in from, it was called Bell Detroit Diesel, working on engines and transmissions. They'd come in and service the stuff at the place. And he had an interest in that. He quit at Tilcon, which was paying pretty good money back then, and started at $3.50 an hour at that place.
Wow.
Yeah. But he worked his way up, learned how to do the trannies, became really efficient at that. I think they taught him how to do that there. And then he just became so busy or learning, because he became a road guy. So then he had all the contacts.
So then he had the specialty on how to
met all the guys, and then started doing a lot of it on the side. Like when we finally had our other shop that I'm in now, we had 2 businesses and 2 race cars in like 2,000 square feet. And he had transmissions everywhere.
Yeah.
And then he built a big place where he's at now.
Huh.
Yeah.
What do you remember about the first night here? You and Teddy were on the racetrack in the same event here at Stafford.
Don't really remember it.
That was what,
Really?
85-ish?
Yeah.
85.
Yeah, don't really remember, I mean, we always approached like, we have maybe banged each other a lot more than other guys, because we were definitely
You think
competitive.
so?
Yeah. But as I tell people, I said, well, how did we win all those races, all those championships?
Yeah.
Like we were wrecking each other that
True.
much, It just doesn't equate, Just super competitive, I mean, we would literally, when we were kids, we would literally just beat each other every single day after school. Like beat each other.
Like fight.
Yeah, just fight. Just for the sake of doing it.
You just come home.
We go to, my buddy said we go to our pay-per-view thing, and next thing you know, we're wrestling on the ground, just for no reason at all, just because we wanted to beat each other.
Like a friendly beating.
Yeah. My mom would show up, right? We'd be beating each other for I don't know how long. The couch is junk, right? And we hear her come, we'd sit there. She'd, how's everything? Good, Mom! Like nothing's going on. We're red faces. The place is a mess.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow. That's something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell my brother I'm going to beat him up from now.
We would just do it. I can't tell you why we would do that,
So I'm jumping back to that first time in an SK at Stafford. Did you have any knowledge of kind of the guys you were competing against, or were you still kind of isolated to the kart sphere,
No.
and then you just showed up here and you're like, I'm
That's it.
here to
Yeah.
I'm here to run?
I think we did it like anything. Even when we raced karts, it was like, okay, there's somebody else out there racing. Didn't really care who it was or what they were. I don't think either of us have ever thought about that. Like even as you got on and you were racing against Pot or whatever, that's just another guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was higher than anybody else. Or even as we became accomplished in it, I don't think anybody thought, well, I'm racing against Ted. Or well, they probably thought
Oh, I
about Ted
thought
because
that, yeah.
he's gonna wreck me if I do anything
And
stupid.
so, who
wrong.
were some of the what was the SK racing like then? So when your first event at the Sizzler, Was it beating bang as it is now? Or
no, I don't
was
remember that.
No.
No, it was actually it was a lot more respectful back then. But because I think a lot of guys built all the stuff.
Yep.
It wasn't okay, I'm just going to the place and buying everything. Look at me, I bought a used race car ready to go. Teddy bought a used race car ready to go. It was more.
And that was not the norm, though, right? To buy a complete car and just kind of.
I can't tell you.
Yeah.
I know it happened to happen with me, which was good. I knew how to build small blocks. And then we also both became really adept at building them because we would build all our own engines when we first started. I read every single Chevrolet, Smokey Unic, any book that I could. Man, I read it about those things, and I still have them to this day. And I still go back and read that stuff because it hasn't changed.
August 16th, 1985. First win.
Yeah.
I know there's a story behind it.
Yeah, I don't know where I started or what was going on, but obviously I'm going pretty good, right? I win the show, take the checkered, all of a sudden I'm sideways, and I'm wrecked in turn one. Richie Gallup hooks me.
After the finish line.
After the finish line, yeah. Like, I probably don't even know how to control it enough because I've only been doing it for 2-3 months, you know? Because one thing I noticed when I first started, a go-kart was 5 feet long, 6 feet maybe. A race car is 17 feet long.
Yeah.
The hardest thing that I noticed when I first started was just knowing your boundaries,
Where the car is around
Where the
you.
car is, And we had a rear view, but, I never raced like that, It was always peripheral, and you could hear guys more then. I don't even think we wore earplugs, to tell you the truth. Like that. Wow. Yeah, I don't think so. Can't
Must
remember.
have been loud as hell.
Yeah, I don't think we did, or if we did, you could sense when somebody was around. And it was always the rule, like, okay, to the door, peripheral, he's got the turn.
You see him, yeah. Yep.
He's on the outside money. I'm giving him room, It was more of that, Maybe not with Bo Gunning because the guy was a one-eyed cyclops. He couldn't see, So you had to really pay attention when you were on the outside
Bo
of him.
Bo came on the show and he said, "What the hell's a podcast?" So he's not listening. Don't worry.
I don't care if he is.
So you got a wreck.
I'm wrecked. Yeah,
Who wrecked
the car.
you?
Richie Gallup, who we raced against in go-karts for a long time. He used to race for this guy, Van Gelder, in Mass, which was probably the most difficult thing for Teddy and I because we would always have our stuff done by somebody else, engine-wise, if we weren't building our own stuff, And the guy that Richie drove for and Dale Quarterly, Van Gelder, he did all the tech. It's like, oh, my God.
He did the tech.
Yeah. But I always thought that he did do a fair job because we never would get disqualified in tech, But it was like there was a little more scrutiny to our stuff because, he was looking at something that somebody else did,
So he wrecks you.
He wrecks me, man. The thing is destroyed. Back end is wrecked out of the thing, back it into the concrete or the wall in turn one. Ed Yarrington, who ran the show back then, shows up with his golf cart, brings me to victory lane in a golf cart. Yeah, that's why we had no picture of the car. It was,
wow.
wrecked. Yeah.
What do you think? Are you excited that year, or are you thinking,
I wanna race.
This car is destroyed, I'm done?
No, I don't think we ever looked at it like that. We just
you want to race,
stuff.
so you want a race, and that's probably like your 10th start.
Yeah, I won a race before Teddy did. I don't think Teddy won a race until after that.
Wow, and
I think I won a championship before him, but I'm not positive about that.
I think he won one before you. 88. Let's check
I'm not
the history
sure.
books there.
I have to look at it. It was like really close, But it was not like we were focused on winning races or winning championships.
Yeah.
We were just doing it,
Right.
because it was the next level to do something.
Yep.
Because Teddy had a championship in '87. Yours was in '89.
89.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Interesting.
So,
Wrecked.
I know. It was wrecked too.
well, when did the rivalry begin with you and your brother? Outside of go-karts.
And outside of the fist fights.
Yeah, probably the day we were born. We were
Right.
always competitive, We didn't wrestle when we wrestled in high school. He was really good at that. I was pretty darn good at it too. But we were in different weight classes. He was a little bit heavier than I was. I don't know if it was really a rivalry. It was always just like, man, there's somebody else out there to beat, Because we never looked at it. I mean, the shop, everybody says, oh, there's a line down the shop. There was down our SK tank, our safety clean tank. We were in a Quonset at one time. You know what a Quonset is? It's a round building.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like a
in-
shed, like a metal.
Right, but they're
Building.
round.
Yeah,
They're called
yeah,
Quonset
gotcha.
huts. They're
Okay.
big in Alaska and stuff
Yeah.
because the snow sheds
Yep.
off them. Well, there was one in Plainville that we rented.
Okay.
I had one side, he had the other side. We had a SK tank in the middle. And my buddy, when we were fighting about something one time, painted a line down the center.
there
had
was a
13
line.
on one side.
So there
and
actually was a line.
But it was
That was
only
the
the
question I
SK tank. Yeah, it wasn't in the shop,
The story is that there was a line you couldn't cross that line.
People elaborate everything now. It wasn't like that,
But
I mean, we had to live with each other.
There was a line.
Yeah, it was down the SK tank. Yeah, my buddy did it just for a joke, But we lived with each other, we lived at home forever, so we had to, compete against each other, and it never got to the point where it was, crazy. We were just two competitors against each other. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. My dad always says he called you guys bump and bang because you would be banging off each other for the whole SK race.
Probably, it's like I can't tell you why we would. It didn't matter if it was him or anybody else because we were going to the front. We always wanted to just race to the front.
And so during this time, this is like the mid '80s. You're starting to get to victory lane. Teddy gets a title. You get a title in '89. Mm-hmm. Is the goal? Is there a goal in racing? Is it just to continue to race, or is there like I have a shot to go further, or is it always kind of I like to race at Stafford? It's my home.
Well, you kind of knew that down the road, or in like the big picture that you could race for a living, you make money at it.
Yeah.
But then then it started to get to the point, and not as bad as it is now. You had to bring money. I remember McLaughlin.
Even then.
Oh yeah, because McLaughlin had moved down, and I remember talking to him about it, and he said, "Yeah, if I had $250,000, which is." A lot of money. I don't know the time frame when it was. He says I could do whatever I want and go racing. I'm like, oh, shit, that's not going to happen with me because I don't have that kind of money. But you could do it, but you had to bring money. And now it's like everybody pays to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were saying Kyle Busch truck is $170,000 for one race.
That's absolutely absurd.
Like I'm like I could race my late model for 10 years. For that.
Yeah,
20 years.
It's really dumb the way the sport has become like that. But. They have people that are willing to pay, guys that are rich and want their kids to the next level pay. It's kind of absurd. But anyway.
And so I want to continue down in the 80s. So you and Ted both have cars.
Yep.
Are you building your own equipment completely then? Kind of how does the team look then? Are you guys even a team, or are you kind of two separate entities?
No, but we worked everything out of the same shop.
Okay.
Like we would rent a hand pump and bend all our Nerf bars by hand.
Oh my!
Whoa!
Yeah, we'd build like 20. Like early on, we knew you need a lot of front bumpers, so we built like 20 bumpers for each of us. We had a few guys that would come by, and next thing we're banging bumpers or Nerf bars, and we build everything. It was easy to build Nerf bar then because it's just a single bar.
One bar, yeah.
It was really easy, But yeah, built a lot of the stuff. I don't know when. I know early on, I started understanding the engines real good, but I've known them for a long time, and I'm like, I'm not paying anyone when I can't afford to do it, but I don't want to pay anybody because I have different ideas that I don't want anybody to know anyhow, and this stuff. So I started building mine, and I still build them to this day. I'm probably the only guy that builds an engine at this place.
I think you are in the SKs at least. Yeah.
And I would never do it if I couldn't do that. Like if they told me we're going to a spec motor or whatever, or I have to buy it from somebody, then I'd be out of the division. Because I think it's...
And you
it
like the
saves me.
challenge? Is that it?
Oh, yeah. Plus, I think I can build a pretty good mousetrap, I mean, we had some issues this year, but it was nothing... It was because I was using parts that were probably 30 years
So
old.
how did you get that knowledge? How did you...
Read every single book.
So this is in that time?
Yeah.
Is that in the 80s when you come to Stafford, you're like, all right, I'm just going to learn as much as I can?
And then Bruno was doing some of the stuff, and then I'm doing things, and I'm like, I sat in the seat, so I knew where I would lack. I could tell, okay, I have too much, torque on this thing. I have too much of this. So I knew where to adjust it because I was sitting in the seat.
Yep.
I'd play with the motor and change it, So then I started learning a lot, making more power than those guys. I'm like, fuck them, man. I'm not going to tell Bruno what I'm doing. So then I became more secretive, and that's when I started farming stuff out. I had another guy at a Farmington who used to do all my machining, guy Andy's Diesel. Because I didn't want anybody to know
They were guys
what... They were machine shop.
Trust, and you're like, this is my guy over here who's going to put this together, but not go tell.
He wasn't doing it for
Bruno,
anybody else. He was just a machine shop.
Gotcha.
He was doing what I wanted to do in my stuff, which really worked well at the time. We could do a lot of things with cylinder heads that you can't do nowadays, but you were allowed to do it within the rules if you had the time frame. I mean, I would spend hours and hours. I used to use stones and cut all my seats with a stone.
What does that mean? What do you mean you cut it with stones?
Well, now when you cut a seat on a valve seat, say there's 3 or 4 angles, you just get a cutter, lop it down, and it gives you all the angles.
Okay.
I had stones that were cut at 30, 40, 50, 60 degrees. Each one, you had to maintain each one. Yeah, it was a lot of work.
Wow.
A lot of work.
And then did you build Ted's stuff too?
No, he was building his own.
Oh, okay. So
we both learned pretty good about him. Yeah. And then he had Billy, who knew nothing about small block Chevys, besides maybe building it for truck stuff.
What was he doing then?
Snowmobiles. Really big into
Interesting.
snowmobiles.
Okay.
And had a machine shop, but it was something else. I think it was called George's or whatever. Not
Making
positive.
parts or something.
Yeah. And then he got hooked up with Billy, and Billy learned, obviously from stuff that we had,
Mm-hmm.
and then next thing you know, Billy's building engines, and now, obviously he's pretty successful with this
Yeah.
stuff, But yeah, we built all that stuff. It was just a challenge, and we didn't have a area where we said, yeah, well, I want to be a race car driver for a living, I don't
So
think
what was it? It was just like, I like
Fuck,
to
man,
race.
something else to do. Yeah, we enjoy racing go-karts, so this
Yeah.
was the next step. It was local. We didn't have to travel all over the place. Luckily, when we did travel, it was nice because we could travel together. So we would cut the expenses in half every time. Because it was two of us doing it.
Gotcha.
So it wasn't so bad.
In this time, were you just at Stafford, or were you also going to other tracks
No,
too?
we went to Thompson too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were
And then-
doing twice a week deal?
Yes, and then he ventured, and that was on a Sunday. I
Yeah.
think when
That
they
was
were running
a
that.
Sunday afternoon kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was run by SNERA,
Sneer,
Southern
yep,
New
yep.
York Racing Association.
And those were SKs,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Those were SKs, yeah.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Same type of program that we have now. I think we were on Goodyear's up there, though, and McCurry's at Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
They had a different, the rules were a little different. Then finally they kind of combined them when they had that tri-track deal, and I don't even know what year that was.
That was
We
in the
ran-
mid-'80s too, yeah.
Stafford, Thompson, and Waterford, which is a really good deal. We weren't really putting a lot of tires on because the tires seemed to work pretty good. You could go to one track, maybe put one on, go to the next one, put another one on, go to the next one. It was a pretty good deal, though.
The 1989 championship, first one here for you. What stands out in that season?
Couldn't even tell you.
I don't remember who you were running for the title with.
No, I don't have a lot of recollection of a lot of the races, which is kind of shitty, but I don't. Some stuff stands out, but not much of it.
Okay.
No recollection of his
No.
89 championship.
First championship.
No, I think it was because it was just something that we just did, and if you got
Right.
got a championship out of it, that was good
It
too.
happened,
then-
yeah.
yeah, and
I know
then-
that it meant something in one year because we would race for regionals. I was always the guy, not always, but I'd like to see something at the end for what we did. Like when we first started, we had a point fund at Stafford too, and I bitch at your dad all the time about it. He goes, "No, you didn't," but whatever.
I don't
every
think
time-
you did, but that's okay.
What's that?
I don't think there was a point fund, really.
Oh yeah, every tire that was sold, $10 of every tire went to a point fund. Because the last guy that took a check out of that Stafford Motor Speedway for a point fund for that was me in 1989 for $1,500. The year
he
before,
remembers that, but doesn't
I remember that
the
exclusively because they gave us incentive to do
Yeah.
stuff. And then before that, the year before that, was like $3,000. Every tire that was sold was put into
Part
a
of
point
it went
fund.
to a point fund.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
actually really good. When we would tear down engines, Casella would give us gaskets to put the things back together. It was pretty cool back then. They actually did stuff, that helped us out as the season went on towards the end because you had a goal to look for, I mean, we went to the region. I think I finished 10th in the region one year, so we went to Nashville when they had the banquet down there.
Okay.
That was really a lot of fun.
And so you continue to drive for a lot of years in the SKs.
Yeah.
What I think is interesting about you and Ted is that you competed for so long at Stafford, and you ran so many nights here. Like it's endless, right? There's
Yeah.
so many events, and kind of what is the magic of Stafford, and like why here, and like what was the connection?
Luckily for both of us, like I remember driving when I drove that first night. I go, this place is really, felt easy, and we never
The track, like
Yeah, which
your
is
ability on like the
Right.
line and everything.
It
Gotcha.
didn't really say. It didn't be like, oh my God, I can't get around this place. I got around it like it was nothing. Same
Mm-hmm.
thing with Ted. Some people struggle like hell. They come here for years and still never get
It's a
that
tough place.
It is, but we would travel anywhere in the country with our carts and be fast.
Yeah, so you were drivers, so you could adapt.
I always tell everybody we were
Yeah.
probably, and we didn't know it. We were probably naturally good at it. But I didn't know. We just, performed at it. But I imagine we were probably some of those guys where you say, oh, they're naturally talented at doing skiing. We were probably pretty naturally good at it because it didn't really seem like a challenge to us. We would go anywhere and be fast.
Yeah.
I remember going to Pocono. I'd never been there before when we ran the tour.
Yep.
I ran Bear's Car one year. That place is wild.
The small track,
And this
right?
is on the
No.
three-quarter mile? The
I'm
full-
sorry, not Pocono. Nazareth.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
It's like a roval. Like you're down, then you turn, then
There's
you're
another
up.
turn.
It's a dog leg, and you got to be like,
Yeah.
I'm going to keep my foot down. And you do. You don't think it's going to do it. And then it turns again. It was the wildest track, but I got around it like it was nothing.
Yeah.
I had never been to Richmond before in my entire life. Never seen the place. Time trial, like third with Bear's Car.
Wow.
Never been to New Hampshire before. Time trial right up front when I was running Jimmy's. It was Jimmy's car, I think. Yeah. Just never really felt like anything was, as long as you had a pretty good car and had a feel for what you wanted and were comfortable, you're always fast.
And so that's kind of why you liked Stafford, because it was just kind of a natural fit.
Yeah. I mean, we ran good, and it was local, and this is what we did. It was like our hobby, I mean, we would work like 2-3 nights a week. We had a lot of guys that liked to work, luckily worked on it, early on. Every single night, like we weren't drinkers, we would go to Friendly's and buy a Jim Dandy. You know what those are? Those are like 5 scoops of ice cream. Yeah. I'm talking every night. They were like 99 cents when we started buying those things.
Is that how the ice cream started?
Yeah, it was just something to do. Like 9 o'clock, we'd send somebody go to Friendly's and pick up ice cream. It'd be like 3 or 4 Jim Dandies and everything else. But every night we would be buying that stuff.
That's cool.
Because I hear stories of ice cream shops and stops for at least the Connecticut tracks. I feel like you guys had...
Oh, we knew every one of them.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that.
When I worked at Tilcon, too, I worked on the road. After I was in the garage, then I got on the road paving roads. I knew every ice cream place in because we were always traveling different places paving, so I knew Connecticut pretty good. I knew every shop everywhere. Yeah. It's just the thing. Liked ice cream. Still like it today. My wife tells me, and my daughter tells me, you got to stop eating that ice cream. You're going to die from it. Well,
it's ice cream. You got to have some ice cream every now and then. Jeez.
I have a pretty lot of it. Yeah. Like I buy 10 tubs of it, when it's on sale. Yeah. Only when it's on sale.
You mentioned Nazareth. You mentioned New Hampshire, Pocono, obviously modified tour racetracks. You have, 70-some-odd modified tour starts, I believe?
I guess. Yeah.
75.
75.
Really, that
I
many,
looked it up, yeah.
Wow, I didn't think there was that many.
No wins, though.
No. Well,
were close
that's
once.
where we go.
I was close a bunch of times. I won at Waterford and then got disqualified. I didn't
So what
even know
happened
that.
there? That's a question I had.
Driving
I
for
saw that on the stat. I saw that on the stat list. I saw a win, but no win.
Driving for that jackass Bear, who is a smart guy, and he was, how Bear. Everybody knows the Bear.
Everybody knows Bear.
Whether you love him or hate him, he was good at the time when we were all working together, but had a great car. I mean, I ran the whole season with him. Well, almost the whole season. We parted off towards the end of the season, but always ran really good with this car, and had a great car at Waterford. I don't know where we timed, but got in the lead, led for a while. Robbie Summers had passed me, got back by him again late in the race. I think it was, actually, caution like 2 to go. It was going to be a green-white checker. Reggie's there behind me, and Marquis. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like, I got 2
Especially
guys
in that time.
Yeah.
Those guys were really good then.
Yeah, they knew their shit, And
Yeah.
I always got along. Same thing. Went to Waterford, always got around Waterford good, Beat those guys. Won the race. And I'm driving home, and somebody calls and says, hey, they pulled. I'm like, what? Fucking fat-ass Bear had some carburetor on the thing that was illegal or something. And literally, you don't even use your whole car at Waterford.
Right.
You're barely on it.
Yeah, you're a foot, a throttle racer there. You can't monster mash like in Stafford when you're on the game. Oh yeah, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So they pulled the win from me there.
So you do have a win. Just it has an asterisk.
Whatever. If it was anybody else, they probably would give it to you and then just do like they do in other divisions. And then at New Hampshire, God, I would always run good there.
You were good there, yeah.
Oh my God, man! No matter who's.
What about that track? Just is it the draft? You kind of maybe is it your experience at the big tracks and karts that you just you saw the air?
No, it's just fun to race.
Looks fun.
Oh my God, drafting is a lot of fun. Like guys are stupid in drafting. I'm smart with it, knowing how to do it. Yeah, can't pound guys like you saw it a few years ago. Somebody got into somebody, wrecked them. You have to know what to do, how to feel it. Like. Up there, and I learned early on, right? I'm behind somebody coming off a 2, and fucking car is going right for the fence without me even steering it. I'm like, holy shit! I pull it away, right? I'm like, all right. When you're right behind a guy, pulls the air off the nose of the car, plants it on the spoiler.
Oh,
dude, the thing will just go.
Lifts up. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you have to inch it out a little bit, keep the nose down, keep the thing so that it keeps the nose into the track a little bit. Just love that place, man. I love that. If I won lottery, I'd buy a tour car and just go there for the shows, because it's just a lot of fun.
Finished second there, the Teddy, in what, 04?
Finished second to Blew It.
Blew It, yeah.
Dude, had such a good car. Drove from 28th to 1st. I remember Bear sitting in the infield. We qualified terrible, right? I go, Bear, I don't know what the fuck you're going to do to this thing, but you better straighten this thing out, And he's sitting on the tire, just looking at me, I'm I'll tell you what, man, he had that thing wheeling the next day, for the feature, and we were fat. I mean, I drove from 28th to 1st.
Wow.
Yeah, and we stayed there.
Yep.
That thing was super, super good. And I had my whole plan in place. Last lap, there's lap cars everywhere on the back chute. Can't get where I want to go, and John beats me by. I got a picture. Beats me by a car. Back further up with Teddy. Both had real good cars.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy, I was working for Jimmy from '96 till
Galante?
maybe '98, a year and a half or something like that.
You worked for him?
Yeah, I worked. I was
okay.
probably one of the first guys that was working on race cars for a living,
Oh, you were on the race cars full time?
full time.
So was this Ted's cars? Or was
No.
this also, was this?
No, my SK.
So you drove
He
for
had
Galante
Schwanski.
too?
Yeah, he had Schwanski driving for him
At first?
at first.
Okay.
Then he got away from him. Somehow I got the deal. I had a raceworks car. We bought another raceworks car. I said, really want to do this right, we got to work on it. He had a warehouse down there. Start building that thing up. Ray Home, Ray? Ray, you ever heard of Ray?
Yeah.
He and I were working on full time.
And this is SKs?
SKs. Then he bought a tour car too.
And
Yeah.
so you were driving for Galante before Ted was?
Yes.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
And so how did that change over? Because kind of everyone really...
A lot of
has the-
cars,
okay.
want to do a lot of stuff. Pro stock, this, that. It started getting too crazy. Other guys driving cars, and me, I don't care about anybody else. I'm only focused on me. I could give a shit who else is there, but I am not building race cars or anything. Same thing when I do with my kid, man. Nobody comes there. Nobody knows what I'm doing. It's a very private system, I'm not. I'm the guy that's not. I don't want anybody around looking at any of my shit. We're racing other guys, and the thing that really broke the camel's back was one day he tells me, "While you're working here, I own you." I go, "What the
Ooh.
fuck did you just say to me?" And he never repeated it. Went there
Wow.
that night with my truck, my old white truck, loaded everything, and pulled it out of there. Next day he comes up, "What's going on?" I go, "Not working here anymore."
Yep.
Yeah, so that killed it.
And
And
then-
then Teddy took over.
So
know.
So then did Ted come did he begin to drive immediately after that? Was it just like
I
an
think
exchange?
so. I can't remember
And then
exactly.
How long did you work on cars there full time? Because I didn't.
It was
I didn't
only
know
about
that.
a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that was SKs strictly.
SKs, yeah, mostly SKs. We had a Pro Stock too, and then we did build a tour car, but I just don't have a complete memory of it. Yeah.
That was a heck of a team.
Yeah, it was really good, man. Endless money. It was actually a
That's-
pretty good deal.
That was. I can imagine it was probably crazy.
It was, it was just you had to build stuff up. It worked well.
Yeah.
But it just didn't work well. When
Did he
something
ever
was-
have ambitions of going big? Is that kind of or was he just I
Never
like
really
doing the
stated that.
racing?
Yeah.
'Cause I was interested on what his goal was because
He wanted to win a lot,
he
but
just
it
liked
wasn't.
to win.
Yeah, it wasn't like he never stated that, you got to win this now. He knew that, it's not an easy sport. I think he learned that as we were going along.
But as a driver, I imagine you're like, if I do something stupid, I got 10 more cars I can have right in 5 minutes.
Nah,
No,
I never raced like that.
did
No.
Ted in that Galante car? I just
I don't
remember as a
know.
kid that 13, it was
Yeah.
like
I mean, they
he'll
had-
junk somebody and he doesn't even care.
Yeah, because then at that point they had a lot of employees.
Yeah.
They were all working on the Teddy shop in Plainville.
Okay.
Everything was moved into that operation. And they had like 3 or 4 guys.
Employees on the race car.
Employees on the race
Wow.
car working under Jimmy's.
I didn't know that.
Barry Cannell, Mark Halsmer. I think Mike was under that. Michael Sullivan, Craig Regalia. There were like 4 or 5 guys working full time on those things. Yeah.
We had Bo Gunning, part of the show, a couple weeks ago. Were you there the night or in the race the night Teddy and Bo got together at Thompson and ended up in turn 1?
No.
Teddy upside down and
I don't remember that. No.
okay.
Yeah, when he pulled him out or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I'm
no.
sure if you were in the field that night or
Pretty
not.
crazy story.
Yeah.
I want to go back to Galante. Is he still around at all? Is
Yeah.
he?
I talked to him not very often. I haven't talked to him in months, but I called him probably 3 or 4 months ago. Yeah, he actually runs a propane oil business down in it's either Danbury or New York area with his son. Yeah.
Cool.
Mid-90s, maybe. And this could all be my imagination, but I keep wanting to... I hear a story of you and Teddy on the front stretch here. Something happens. Involved the starter, maybe some fence climbing. I don't know.
What
No?
is this story? Is that nothing?
I thought I heard
Don't
something.
remember
It was right before I started here.
The thing about
early
Mike and
mid-90s.
Ted, I don't ever remember it being like a Chris Jones type event.
Right.
when
No.
something
No,
happens.
no.
It was always like
Jonesy
yeah.
was mental.
Oh, he still is.
Nah.
But it was
nice
always
guy to
like,
talk to on the phone,
yeah.
though. Really good guy to
he
talk
loses
to.
it when he gets behind the wheel.
Holy mackerel, man.
But it was always just like, yeah, they might have gotten into someone and shown him a lesson, but it was always it. That's it.
Yeah.
And they move on.
Yeah. I don't think we've ever had anything like that.
No.
Okay.
No. Still have to go back home to mom and dad, you know?
That's all right. I got you.
Yeah.
So the 80, we don't know where the 13 came from. It kind of happened because it was already in the
Happenstance.
car.
That's cool. I
yeah,
didn't
a lot
know
of
that.
people didn't know that. It was
cool.
literally sitting in that guy's garage forever. I would bicycle by that thing all the time and look at it back there and look at it. And somehow, I don't know, my dad bought it for us.
Isn't that incredible though that a number is now so iconic?
I know.
It just because
And
of that.
We never even thought twice about it. It was like, okay, that's 13. We never
number.
thought that it was unlucky in racing or any of that
Yeah.
crap. No.
Now, like in all of, like at least in the Northeast,
This part of the
you
country,
think of the 13.
Oh, yeah.
You think of that. It started by your
Yeah.
biking by that shop. That's cool.
I got 28 82 because when I
gonna be
That's
first
the
question.
question. Yeah.
when I went to Stafford, right, with my car, this guy Bud Pinto, a fucking non too. I'm like, this guy's got my number, man. You believe? I mean, he was a non. He sucked, right? I'm like, fuck, I can't get my number. So I said, well, I'll reverse it.
Oh, so
That's what I did.
you were 28 before?
No, I
then-
wanted to be, but I couldn't.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
I used
so
28.
You used to be 28.
wanted
then you
28.
Well,
reversed it
because
you
when
had
I
it.
raced, when I was racing, I loved Z28s. I still have
Oh,
one
okay.
right now. Teddy had like 3.
Cool.
I had one. I bought one when I was 17 years old. Well, actually, I didn't even buy it. My old man had a 41 Caddy that he got from George Tomaso, gave to my brother. 41 Caddy, this gigantic
By a boat.
fucking arc, man, huge. We parking in front of our garage or front of our house. You know, we had parking in front of our house. It would take up like half the street. You know, so he had that, and I had a 42 Chevy Coupe that my dad gave me. We both had these antique cars. It was beautiful, 6-cylinder vacuum shift on the column. You know, radio work. It didn't work. I went over to railroad tracks one day and played. Boom, the thing comes on. Like literally, it worked. Black with chrome, which it didn't have in 42. It was the war years, so a lot of stuff was blacked out. They wouldn't chrome them because of the war.
Interesting.
But it had chrome on it and shit. So I had a fascination with Zs. I used to read all the books on Z28s. I can't tell you why, but I just love those things, you know? I'm driving. I look in the paper. There's a guy has one for sale in Bristol, next town over in Plainville. I go, let me go check it out. You know, because I want one.
Yeah.
I wheel over there with my 42 Coupe, right? I'm looking at it, you know. I don't know anything about them. Luckily, it was all original shit, you know. Out of the blue, I go, hey, would you like to trade for my car? The guy goes, yeah. Dude, I couldn't get home fast enough. Get the title, man. I swapped it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I've had it for 17 when I bought it. I'm 61. I've had it for 40.
You still have that
almost
car?
40. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
I still own the thing. Yeah.
And so that is the 28.
That's
and
why I
then
love
you
28.
become the 82
Because Bud Pinto
non.
has it. Yep.
And then why is it the digital number? That's what we got to hear.
We race sleds in the wintertime. Like when we were racing go-karts, there's nothing to do in the wintertime. I get laid off from construction. He was still working, but we had this little shop in Plainville where I used to dyno, where I had my go-kart shop. Maybe, I don't even think it was 600 square feet or something. We buy a snowmobile. We want to go racing snowmobiles.
You guys just love to race.
Yeah, exactly. We
Wow.
really had no
You'd race
thing. We just wanted to
shopping
race.
carts if you could.
Yeah, exactly. So my buddy had it, and he had a guy that raced it. He wrecked it. He fixes it, and he wants to sell it. So we buy that thing. I'm like, okay, we're going to race snowmobiles, you know? And they had a place where you could race in New England, shit like that. So one guy, this kid, Billy Bickford, had a 128, I think, or maybe it was 28, but it was digital. I'm like, wow, I like the way that thing looks. And next thing I know, I said, I'm going to
Got
make
digital
mine.
number.
I used to make my numbers. Like, I'd get the material
Yeah.
and cut them out with scissors and put them on the car.
So is the
Digital look.
Yeah.
rounded edges.
Yeah. And we had a guy that when we were racing karts, this guy, Peter Laternus, he used to do a lot of our engines for us. He was an engineer out of Pratt, but he loved racing, you know. He used to letter our cars.
With hand
Paint.
painted. That's cool.
He used to hand paint all our panels. Yeah.
Wow.
But that's how I
the
got that
digital
number.
became, just because of snowmobiles. These
Right.
guys would drive
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Oh, we had so much fun.
And that's
We-
why they were so good.
Yeah.
We literally go to this place on a Friday night. We'd race some nationals. Well, they had like a circuit. You go to Maine and this and that. You know, we'd race all over. So we'd go to a place called Bedford Speedway in New Hampshire. It was a little quarter-mile track. I don't even know how the fuck we found the place, but we find this little shit track, right? We leave about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we had the box van, right? I set the box van up. All the stuff would be out of it, but you could put the sled right in there. I had a heater in the back, because you're racing on ice. You don't race on snow. You race on glare ice. The picks are like this long. Bulletproof vest. That's what you wear, because in case you get run over, you don't want to get killed.
Yikes.
Yeah, no shit. There's like, I don't know how many picks in the track, and then the front they have carbides about this long. Take them and your nail would shave your nail. That's how sharp they are, because you're racing on ice.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can't even see.
Wow.
Like shit's flying out of this.
up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So
Did you
we'd race
both
that
drive
thing.
those things? Or
We
just you?
would share this one.
Uh-huh.
And then Ted, he's got to buy another one, so he buys a brand new 81. That was a 79. He buys this brand new sled that we go way up in Malone, New York to pick it up out of the Skidoo factory.
Wow.
We had a connection to get it. He gets the thing, and he's racing that one. Some guy actually brought it over to the shop this summer. He redid it.
Oh,
It's
wow.
beautiful.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is it in the
Originally
shop
was
now?
What's that?
Is it at the shop, or does
No,
this guy have
he
it?
owns it.
Wow, that's
he
cool.
shows it and stuff. Yeah, he still has that thing. Yeah, so we'd race those things in
And
the
this
winter
is
time.
when you're doing the karts too.
Yes.
This is all prior to the
Oh,
SK
yeah.
racing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Way
And that's
prior to that.
probably why you're such a natural behind the wheel, is because you race so many different tracks and cars and
Right.
snowmobiles and on ice, and
Oh,
that's
yeah.
got to be why.
Yeah, I was the New York State amateur champion in that thing.
The New York State Amateur
Get this, right?
Snowmobile Champion.
We go to New York. I'm with somebody. I forget my jet chart. You have to jet those things according to temperature and weather.
Uh-huh.
I forget the thing. I'm like, oh, fuck, man, I don't have it. And it's warm. So I know I'm a little off on my jetting, so they don't run as well, right? So I kind of guess on it. It's good, but it's not as good as I want it to be, right? So when you race snowmobiles, you start all standing start. About 8 of them in line. Take off and race the track. I think it was probably almost a half-mile track. Ice, all glare ice. So the guy stands there and he's going to start you, and if you don't like I was about 1 or 2 cars or 2 snowmobiles in. I wanted to be on the inside, so you can jump the start. So I jump the start, then means everybody takes off and then goes back in line. I get back and I go on the inside. I remember I jammed this guy, or I wanted to be on the inside, right? Sure enough, man, they dropped the green. I come into the first turn, boom! That was probably one of those guys. I jam that fucking guy up, push him out. I win the show. Yeah, it was great. Yeah. But we just raced that shit because we just wanted to race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
There was
awesome.
no desire to say, oh, I want to be,
Right. There was no
You just like racing.
end goal.
Yeah.
You were just there to.
It was something else to do in
Yeah.
the wintertime, I'd work on that thing all week long because I was laid off, all week long. I'd go through every pick, working on it. He'd race it, some I race it. Then he had his own, and we'd race, we really never really, we kind of did races against each other. But it was fucking, you could not see where you're going because the ice is coming off the sled. I mean, these things go.
Yeah.
They're really, really fast. Went to Canada racing. Took a tour bus up there. Teddy had these guys, right? Some coach place out of Bolton or whatever. But he used to work on their buses. They had 2 rock and roll buses. They let us take them. We'd have it on Waterford. Oh, it was the best.
Wow.
We went all the way up to Canada with that thing. And, we did race up there. Just with their bus. Just drove it up there. Yeah, we had a fun time, man. Yeah.
How old's Junior now?
Going to be 21 in
21?
April. Yeah.
21. So how does all of this change for you when he comes to your life?
I stopped racing.
21 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah, in 2020. Well, he was born in,
2000-ish? 2000?
2000, yeah.
99,
99, he was born in 99, and I,
Stopped in
I'm like,
2000
okay,
last year.
I can't afford all this stuff. I got a house, kid, so I stopped racing.
So what's his introduction to the sport? How is he introduced to
My wife.
the sport and where he is now?
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
did
My
you say
wife.
let's go racing? Because I can see
No.
you're like, we're not doing this. This is dumb.
Well, because I know I only do racing one way, and it's 100%.
Yep.
Yeah.
And a lot of work, because I remember telling him, my wife says, yeah, let's go race at Stafford, because it seemed like that was a pretty good deal,
The
It
kart
actually
deal,
is
yeah.
really, really good,
You do a good
well
job with it.
structured, do
Yeah.
a very good job, Very, fairly reasonable.
Yep.
You can get it pretty good.
Yeah, it's-
Where you don't spend a lot of money on it.
It's affordable.
Yes, it is. So we buy a cart. I'm like, oh, but here we go. We buy some used cart from this
And
guy.
was it a sprint he started with? It was a sprint or an
The little-
outlaw? Oh no, he was a cub. He was
Cub.
young. He was
Tiger-
real young.
Tiger Cub.
Yeah, Tiger Cub.
Yeah, he was 9 years old.
So that would have been a sprint. Yeah, so it's like the second tier.
Junior
Yes.
outlaw?
No,
No,
that's a little
that's
bit
the next
older.
one. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
okay.
He eventually got into that, and he was good.
So we get into that thing, right? First race, right? It's like this little shit cart, right? We tape up the number 82 on it and shit. Like literally tape it on,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's blue and stuff. He goes out there, and it's a flathead. It's not a animal motor. They had 2 different
The
colors.
flatheads then, yep.
I'm like, okay, well, we're buying it. I don't know, it wasn't that expensive. He goes out there, right? flips the thing.
His
I
first
think
night?
it was in the feature or whatever. Right? I'm like, holy shit! Right? I see the thing right getting into the turn. He's over.
And you're
I'm
like, oh
man, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, go over. He's okay, you know. I look, and the guy, you know how they always like straighten the tie rod ends when they bend stuff
they
out?
stand
you know,
on
they
them,
stand
they
on
bend-
them?
yeah.
Well, he must have never checked the tie rod end because I looked at it, you could see the brake. It was real dark, so it was broken already. And then it just finally sheared off. So it shears, puts a tire like this, flips
Launched
the thing.
him.
Yeah. So I fix it, right? I go to my wife. Let me tell you what. I said, unless we get one of those over there, I'm not coming back next week. You're buying one of those engines, an animal, because I could tell we don't have enough power.
Oh, so he already his first night, and he's like, "I'm down on power. We're getting the upgrade
Or I'm
here."
not coming back.
Yeah.
She bought one.
Wow.
Oh yeah, and now we're competitive.
Yeah.
You know, then the next thing we're lifting that son of a bitch on a stand. I go, that's it, hon. Better get up some money. We're buying one of those electric
Automatic.
stands because I'm done lifting this shit. Because it's heavy.
Yeah.
So then we got the stand.
You were the first guy who had that stupid electric stand. Now everybody's got the electric
Dude.
stand. Yeah.
Your back kills you.
Yeah, it's heavy.
You know, especially a little kid like that.
Yeah.
You're putting a lot of lead on it. Thing's heavy because you have
Yeah.
to meet the weight, you know. I literally, when we started going pretty good in that thing, you know, I literally would work on that thing 2 days a week, like a day, a whole
Right.
day. I wouldn't work on my cars because I had my Honda business, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I was doing. I would work on that go-kart 2 days a week at least.
So you were obsessed again.
Yeah. Never scaled it, though. Never won a race with scaling that thing.
Interesting.
I swear to God. I
Yeah.
would check it on my stand and just do that. Yeah.
And so, did you encourage Mike to continue to run? Or,
Oh, no, he
or was
wanted
it-
to, you know.
He liked doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, because he was always around Ted too, and yeah.
Yeah,
so
he was always
loved.
with Teddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, he's pretty good at it. You know, he's, I would say he's fairly competent. He's a smart racer because he never brings that thing, like, unless it's somebody else, he never brings it back wrecked by himself.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah,
true. He
he's pretty
takes
good with
care of that car.
Yes. Yeah. It was the same with the go-karts, you know. We had a lot of success in that. A lot of fun. You know, it was pretty neat doing that, you know, with the family. You know.
Yeah.
It's really a good deal at Stafford.
And then, so he goes to the outlaw class. I believe he was a champion, correct?
Yep. Yeah.
And then you go to Legend Cars.
Yeah.
And are you at that point? Are you all in on this again? Are you like,
It's
oh,
like
it's,
anything,
it's
you
back.
know,
I'm
we're
back.
just-
Let's go
yeah.
race.
Oh, I'd work on that thing like crazy.
Because that's a big jump from the
yeah, it was.
cost wise as well. From
We
the
bought a
carts.
shit used one for
Yeah.
probably, what the heck did I pay for that thing? $6,500 maybe a little bit more. Pretty good car though. Had
That's fair.
1,200 in it, which I was okay with that. Cause see that the Legend stuff when we were doing it, you could either have a 1,200, which was 50 cc's less, same rules weight wise and everything else like that, but you could have somebody else build it, or you have to buy the 1,250 from the guys down south, who are a bunch of dumb son of bastards that are dumb, man. Because half their shit was blown up. I'm listening. And
Yeah,
that
stuff
guy's
was
blown.
breaking. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I'm like, no, that's not me, man. You got to race. I had really good luck with my 1,200. When we really started running, like he learned, he almost won his first year with that car, which was, I didn't know a lot about it, but that had a scale and stuff, you know. Those things like, oh, you'd make a change.
They're super temperamental, right?
Oh my God,
Yeah.
no sway bar, just a temperamental little car. Only a little, you turn a collar, a quarter of a turn. Oh my God, like very, very little work to or change to the things, I bought a car from down south from Timmy Latiga because we started running real good. I'm like, okay, we got to step up the program. His shit was really, really good. So I buy a really, really good car with a 1250 in it, right? Which I really didn't want to do. I still have my other car too. That thing blows up, late in the season. Well, actually, I bought it late in the season, and it blew up, I think, just to the end. I'm like, fuck these piece of shit 1250s. So I have Hank Scott doing my engines down south, right?
Yeah.
We, that was the year when he won. Well, he won a lot of races. Actually, he has the record at Waterford
Because he dominated
of
that
the
year.
most wins of any division since 1964.
'Cause he was-
25, 24,
Wow, that's
20
cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
of anybody.
Because it was on a Wednesday and Saturday, right?
Yes.
Because so you were doing a ton of
Oh, dude,
racing.
yeah, we raced our balls off with that.
And I remember that
What?
the video, the first win when Teddy's
I saw
jogging
the
out
picture.
there.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, it is.
That must have been a good moment.
Oh, yeah. He'd watch him all the time, and he was always on me. You're always fucking yelling at the kid. I go, well, what the fuck, man? He's got to learn, Like one time he wrecks the thing, right? Not the new car, but he wrecks this other car at Waterford, right? Bangs it into the concrete in turn 3. So just before he's ready to, something happened, right? I see the thing, the brakes are fucking locked up on the thing, right? hits the fence, right?
Yeah.
And I've told them all along, and it's hard to do. You know yourself.
I know. You got to smash that throttle.
Well, no, when you're in a situation like that, it's hard to take your foot off the
Right.
brake, but when you take the brake off, the
You
car
can
steers
turn.
out of the way, and you almost always miss the
It
exit.
spin out.
Exactly. Instead of going straight.
That's
into
hard
the
to
exit.
learn, though.
It is
That's
very
so
hard.
hard to learn.
Becomes natural when
Yeah.
you do enough of it. So he wrecks the thing, right? He comes in. I go, "What happened out there?" "Oh, I lost the brakes." I go, "Really?" I go, "Let me tell you something. I'm going to fix that fucking car, and next week when you go out there, it's going to have the same brakes in it because the left front was locked up on it when you hit the fence." I said, "You fucking kept your foot on the goddamn brake pedal. Now get out there and pick up all the wrecked parts." I used to tell him every time you wreck, get the
Wow.
parts because some of the shit's still
Yeah,
good.
absolutely.
You know, I'm fixing
So
everything.
you made him go out there and
Walk
get the
back
parts?
out there and picked up everything. Yeah.
It was.
You're going to learn. You're going to learn.
We had Kobe on last week, and he said that was one of the first lessons he learned is when he locked the brakes up
Yep.
going into turn one and went straight into the wall.
Yeah.
And
Can't do that.
Can't do that, obviously.
It is hard, you know, but it becomes. See, when we raced the Legend car, the reason he was so good at it because we raced it 2-3 nights a week.
He had
It's
that-
so
the
difficult
feel.
to be good at this stuff because you can, but you need a gigantic checkbook if you only have two options now, Stafford and Thompson.
Right.
Now only one, Stafford. But you can't, like when Teddy and I performed or got good at it, we raced all the time.
Yeah, you
Friday,
were
Saturday, Sunday, all
3
over.
nights a week all summer.
Exactly. So you learned more.
Yeah.
You had a lot of seat time. Once you sit in it and you're really comfortable, you just
It's
learn.
like anything. You have to drive. You have to do it to get good. It's
Yeah, I don't
simple
care if
as
it's
that,
hockey
right?
or
Yeah,
baseball.
golf or whatever, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And then we won that, and then we went to Vegas. And to tell you the truth, man, but I ran a 1200, which nobody liked. Even the guys from down south, right? I call them. We're going to go run the nationals. We're running against Eckes, this other kid, Carson Ferguson from Latiga, who raced
Yeah.
Latiga's car and mine. We're all running for the national championship. Whoever wins at Vegas is going to win the national championship. That's the way they work it. They don't do it by points. If you finish 12th and the other guy's 13th and 14th, you're
win.
the champion.
Yep.
Cool.
So I'm like, okay, kid, it's a lot of money. Let's go to Vegas and try to beat these guys. I called down to Charlotte. I forget the guy's name that runs the place. I said, listen, I'm going out to Vegas, but I'm not going to put up with any of your shit. I said, because I'm running the 1200. He goes, I don't like it that you're running the 1200 because they sell 1250s and they make all their money on these
Right.
idiots buying their shit, you know, because they know I'm a Hank Scott guy. Hank does all my stuff. He says, but we'll treat you fair. You get out there, we're running pretty good. We're off a little bit. I figured it out. I get Brian Marducci's with me because that's his best buddy, and Michael. They're my crew guys. I'm like fucking going
That's a
wild.
heck of a crew.
because- yeah, I know, no shit. They hired a handicap, right? Oh boy. No, not because of that. But I'm just saying, you know, it's like, holy shit, this is gonna be difficult. I got my kid that doesn't know shit about this stuff, Brian, right? So there's a good story about that too, right? So we changed the rear, right? I'm wild on the guys. Get this, get that. We changed the rear. Hey, we are the fastest car in Vegas.
Yeah.
The guy comes over to me and goes, you have an illegal cylinder. I go, what the fuck you talking about? I have an illegal cylinder. Oh yeah, that's illegal. You're not going to you cannot continue to run. I go, really? Hank Scott's kid, I forget his first name, is there. I dial him up. I said, hey, you got to come over. These guys are giving me some shit. Well, all said and done. Afterwards, I'm in the pits. They come over. We apologize to you. Everything's okay.
Jeez.
We were the fastest car out there. With my kid. So they have a thing called Champions Race. All the champions can race in
tracker
this.
and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, before you race the big race.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, we're going to start up front, right? I look at the lineup. I'm like, what the fuck? We're last. I go, what's this bullshit? Oh, we decided we're going to do. I go, you fucking kidding me? I have one car, one engine,
right.
and I got to start last in 28 cars. He drives it to the front.
Did he win it?
No. Fucks up has a restart and overdrives the thing and finishes in maybe third or fifth or whatever. So we go race the big race, and I should have known, but they're real sensitive to battery power, and our battery must have been giving us trouble. One, the fan doesn't work, so it has a fan that cools the cylinder
Yeah.
because they're air cooled, but they're sideways, so they don't get as much air. So you run fans
On
to
top.
keep
Yeah,
it cool.
yeah. Okay.
It started losing a little bit of power. The battery started going down. We wound up finishing third, but he was fast, man. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, spent a lot of money though. Holy shit.
Oh, those will get you. So I want to.
Well, no, I didn't spend a lot of just going out there. I didn't spend a lot of money on the car.
Right.
They're pretty good. You don't put tires on them that much.
Oh yeah, there's no tires in that game, right? Yeah.
No, not really. They do have some. You know, you have to buy them from down south. They camera them and shit like
Yeah.
that. You know, but really, you know, we had a great motor program. I mean, literally, before I went to Vegas, Hank freshened it for me, gave me a real good deal on it. We didn't break that thing in all those races. We raced like 50 times that year.
That's a lot of racing.
Yeah. Never had a failure with the engine.
Yeah.
You know, so I was really, the guy did a great job for me, you know, and I didn't know him, never met him, just called him on the phone. Yeah. Real good guy.
So I want to jump to a little bit kind of the tragic times here. We're not gonna go too far into it, but the question I wanted to ask is kind of how it felt after the accident, obviously, and the community that kind of came around, you know, the family and kind of how you felt in that time, because there was so much. Like, I remember the week after when Rocco, he wins the race, he has got the flag, he does the burnout, comes behind the stands, and to me, that's a moment in Stafford's history that I'm never going to forget. That was unbelievable. Yeah. When the car was down there and everyone's got the TC chant going, and the question I pose is how did it make you feel to have the Stafford community around and just support you?
I wasn't there, so I couldn't experience it. You know, I didn't want to be there.
Mike was there, right?
Yeah, he was there. I mean, there's two things to that. You know, one, it's great that Keith did that and won that, right? But you got to look at the reason why he did that. Keith struggled all year. He was a bag of shit that year. He did not.
He was bad.
Very bad.
No wins.
Why did he go good? You want to know why? Bear gave him the whole setup of Ted's.
Really?
Yeah. So that left a real sour taste in my in my mouth. Keith didn't win. Keith couldn't win. Yeah. Keith was a bag of ass. And if he tells you anything different, he's lying to you.
No, he said it on the show.
Yeah. You know, so that didn't really go over well. I'm the guy, like, that's why I tell people, like, when I got there to work on Ted's, and I told everybody, I said, this is going to take me probably 3 years to get the program really where I want it. Yeah. You know, because, and this is going to be our third year, so we'll probably be a little bit better. Although we won races in the first year.
You were good that other year, yeah.
Last year we actually ran really good, too. We just had no luck.
Stuff broke.
Yeah. So that's the way it goes. Like I told him, I get 90 up, down 10%, you know, up, 90 down. So that didn't really sit well with me. Sure. You know. But racing's not the way, you know. I mean, when Ted had Bear, and I don't really know what was going on in the shop because I never paid any attention to his racing, you know, because I had no reason to. You know, we were just racing our own stuff. Obviously, he turned his program around and he ran really good that year. You know? But I don't like it when people just, you know, give everybody other shit, you know.
It's your private setup. It's your setup, yeah.
Because we were, I think it was the following year, we were in tech together, and we finished summers, you know, together, close. And I remember telling him, I said, well, it's hard for me to race against my brother's shit. He didn't really like it, but I think he appreciated it.
You're so competitive that it's interesting that is your thought there. It's just like, wow, that's our setup. That's not, you know.
Exactly, yeah. That's why the shop is, like when I first got there working the training shop, you know, because I took over the training shop, and I knew nothing, like zero about transmissions. Teddy and I worked together in the shop. He'd be building those things, right? And I go, I could fucking build those things. Fuck you, you can't build these things. I'll go, yes, I can. He's measuring them with a plastic vernier and stuff. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, right? So I never, ever assembled or did any of those things. Like literally, luckily, Rich was there. He understood them pretty good because he was just starting to work on them with Teddy. He was the only employee he had there, you know, that worked on transmissions. And I just bought the books.
You read. That's a common theme with you. You're a reader.
They were only like, you know, they were reasonable to buy, and they tell you everything about them. You know? So, I mean, made mistakes early on, but it was mistakes that I was forgetting putting parts in. So then I did it like a race car. I made a checklist. You know, and we were pretty successful at the business. You know, it's a pretty good business.
It's cool that it's you, it's Mike Jr., it's Quinn.
No, he doesn't do anything. Mike doesn't work there. Oh, no.
I thought he did.
No, he was helping on early on, but you could tell that's not his forte.
Quinn.
Yep, myself, Quinn, and Rich.
It's cool.
Those are the only three
that's awesome.
Yeah. Mike was working on the race car side, you know, when we got there because Teddy had Mike working on it. You know, he was the only guy. Well, actually, George was too. But I told him early on when I got there, I said, listen, this is not a race car shop.
It's anymore. A business.
I said, I do this just to make money for the business, but I'm not like Ted would make money and just shovel it over to the race car side. Yeah. You know, which is fine. It worked excellent for him. You know, I said, but that's not me. Like we take zero money out of that business for the race cars, zero. What we do is the shop is there to use it. You know, I could do it at my shop, but we have so many fucking cars now that it would be difficult. But Ted has a lot of stuff there, but it's you know, I'm still working on it. It's definitely a work in progress. There's a lot of stuff to do. It was like immense work to do just the transmission side, organizing stuff.
You get up to speed on everything. Yeah.
I didn't even know how to turn the lights on in the shop. Like
Wow.
literally, I didn't know.
Damn.
No, I didn't. Because I really never needed to.
Right.
It was Ted's shop. It was always running. If I was there, it was because he was there doing something.
Yep.
You know. But beyond that, and then when we were racing and he was still around, you know, we'd go there, steal as much as he could on the race car side, you know, for my kid shit, you know.
Was there ever any thought to step away from this stuff at all in the immediate
Aftermath.
Nah. You know, I really liked racing with my son, you know,
Yeah,
and it was
absolutely.
fun.
Yeah.
I really love the challenge of it more than anything. I like building the things, you know, making them go fast, setting them up. You know, I do all the setup on them. I love building the engines, you know. So that still drives me like
Absolutely.
crazy, you know. Nah, I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay.
And in 2019,
Yep.
we saw a comeback. Don't call it a comeback, I guess.
Oh,
but
with me.
You got
You,
behind
yeah.
the wheel.
Dude, I got back in the thing. I think it was before the fall final. I got
Yeah.
in there
Yep.
one time, right? I'm
You
like,
practice or something, right?
yeah. And I actually ran a.
Did you run the
I ran
5K?
I ran a heat race. No, I did not. But I'm like, this shit does nothing for me. Like literally,
You didn't miss it, so you were like, whatever.
it had no sense of speed.
Huh.
It had no sense of like anything, right? But I saw what I was doing was I was on the other side looking at competitors going, oh, you know, I got to watch this guy because I know them instead of just wheeling the fuck
Doing
out of
your
the
own
car.
thing, yeah.
So when I ran it again in the fall final, right, I did the same thing in the heat race. You know, I'm like, you know, I'm watching the 11, who's a fucking bomb in the division. I'm like, this guy's gonna wreck half the field, right? He's mid-pack. I'm back like 9th or 10th. I'm like, we're gonna get destroyed because I know this guy.
Yep.
So I'm
Poor
just,
Matt.
yeah. So I'm just like watching him instead of racing my car. So when I got in the contest, I go, fuck this, man. Now I'm wheeling this thing because I'm not gonna do that. And that's when I got Paquette was so funny, right?
That
So
was-
yeah, we're like, so we have somebody's out on us, and we have Brainerd. Who I'm like, oh my God, deja vu racing against this idiot who I raced against years ago.
1998
who
all over
completely
again.
sucked, right? Did he even win a race?
I think he has 2 wins.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah, 2 out of what, 900 starts? The guy sucked.
I even have
Right.
2 wins. Anybody can win.
There you go. So he's wiping it, like he's here.
yeah.
The Keith's rental
This
car
is
is
the feature,
here,
right?
and
Oh, it's
your
the
brother.
Is this the
your
Conti?
Yeah, the Conti.
Oh,
your
poor
brother's
Noah Corner. You ruined Noah Corner's SK Modified debut by
So,
going around him on the top side.
Well, all right, your brother's down here, and he doesn't know where to go because Brainerd's like everywhere on the racetrack, right?
And he was shitting his pants because he thought he was going
He
to miss
wants-
the field.
Right, so I'm
He's like, I'm
thinking
gonna
about
root
that.
and I'm not
like,
even going to qualify.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, I'm not jamming this kid up because 1, it's the owner's kid. 2, he wants to really get in this show, right?
He was going to do whatever he could to get in there. He would have wrecked
Right.
to get in that show.
Probably, yeah. So Noah's dicking on the outside, but not going anywhere. You know, Paul, he's trying to figure out where to go. I'm like, oh, these guys are pissing me off. Finally, Noah decides, all right, I'm getting back down. I go, fuck this. I wheel the thing to the outside, qualify, beat him, right?
That was
if I got
awesome.
the Brainerd, hey, I wish there were more laps. I was going to wreck him just so he wasn't going to be in the feature because he didn't deserve to be.
I
the
loved
guy's
it.
wiping like this.
I was in the stands. It was a Saturday of the fall
Yeah,
final, so there's not a
right.
ton of people there. But everybody's like, "Yo, Mike, see you on the top."
Paquette comes in after I come into the pits. He comes up to me, dude, that was so great. He goes, you wheeled that thing up on the outside. You go, why them guys? Oh, he was so excited. He was more excited than I was.
So that was fun.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, this is a lot of fun. I get in the feature, right? Dude, I've never seen this place be loose like that. Generally, that place is always a tight racetrack.
Yeah, it is. Usually tight.
Dude, it was fucking so loose. Owen, you know, hit it on the money, man.
Yeah.
My kid was loose. We were loose, right? So I know, okay, I'm loose. So I'm pedaling the thing. I start way back. I get up to like, I think it was like 8th or 9th.
Yep.
I'm like, I'm running pretty fucking good here. Although I'm not that good because
You knew what you got,
I'm
yeah.
loose, you know. I wheel that thing, you know, like I'm throttling it just right, getting by guys, racing guys. I'm like, oh, I'm pretty good. We had that restart.
Looped
I
it.
slammed that son of a bitch down off a 2, put the thing around. I'm like, I was so pissed at myself. But I noticed that you need to do it more, you know, to understand what's going on with the car. You can't
Yeah.
just jump in those things.
Right.
I mean, I ran fast, but
Yeah.
you need to do it more. And I may do it some more this year. I'm not sure.
That was my
That'd be
next
the next
question.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we have 3, like I have Ted's car.
Yeah.
Which my son actually did a real good job. My buddy that used to build our bodies years ago is back helping me.
Cool.
He's an older guy, you know. And he taught my son how to do the bodies. So they built all the bodies on the thing.
Cool.
And on Ted's car, because Ted's car is a one-off body. It's not like you can call up Troyer and get all this stuff. The other car, which is the Mohawk car, is a Troyer car. Well, I mean, they're both Troyer cars, but you can call Troyer and get the bodies for it.
Sure.
That one really doesn't need much. Well, any at all, because we were going to race at Thompson. Now we're not. Then I bought an LFR. So that's sitting there, but I don't even know when I'm going to get that.
When did you buy that?
Oh, back in like December.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Well, I was going to update Ted's. Ted's needs a little bit, but I'm like, you know what? I think I'll buy something a little different. I look at it like Ted. I think about some stuff about him. You know, he's the guy that would say, "Oh, I'm going to that route because it's a little different." And the reason I bought that one versus the Fury, because both were trying to get me by. Not trying to get me, but Fury was going to give me a deal. Rob was going to give me a pretty good deal on it, you know. But Rob bought Troyer, so I'm like, well, we're a Troyer guy, and I've been on a Troyer deal. We get a pretty good price through Troyer, you know, and I know Billy for ages. So let me just stick with Troyer, you know. I don't know how the rest of that's going to work, you know. They seem to be pretty busy. Hopefully it continues, you know. But I said, let me try an LFR. It's just metal, you know. It is different. They have some different things in it. But I won't have that done for a while, man. It's a lot of work building a car.
Yeah.
Like a lot of work, because I'm super anal about the thing. And I've
You? No way.
I know. Yeah. Like there isn't one little thing that I do that I'm not doing, not different, but just, you know, making it like perfect. Huh?
So we might get a couple events out of you this year, huh?
Yeah, I think so. You know, because I have, like it's anything, you know, you probably see it in yours. It's hard to get guys to work on race cars that are really good on.
That's kind of the toughest part at the moment, because as we were talking about earlier, there's less and less kids that are kind of around that are interested in cars.
Yep.
So how do you find crew?
Right.
Yeah.
And even if you do, they probably don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Like my son just learned how to do bodies, but he didn't, you know. And I really like doing bodies, but it's so time consuming that it's not good time spent for me, where I'm spending my time building the engines now, you know. So I think I'm going to get out, you know, because I have another guy that came on who used to be the car chief for Busch. Kurt Busch.
Kurt Busch.
Hey, worked down Brigheni.
Yeah.
So
He's
he's pretty much he can't commit completely because, you know, he has a child now and he moved back up here, you know. But he's pretty good help where I can say, okay, if I do race a car where I don't need to finish, you know, I'm not finished, you know, I'm not the guy that's going to come in and say, oh yeah, we're ripped off, we're going to fix this, get back out. We go, and if I start and finish the race, that's fine. If we have a problem in between, besides something like stagger to come in and adjust, that's about all we'll do, you know. So I could probably have him run the deal for my son in the pits, so that way, if something goes on with him, he can fix it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you're,
you know, I don't want to
now that you have
him.
A crew chief or someone to support him.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
That has a good
good knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I don't want to shortchange him, because it's not about me out there. I just, you know, want to go have some fun, but I don't want to have him have an issue where we can't finish because somebody didn't know how to put a freaking tire on it or something, you know. And
then also, Mike is going to get behind the wheel of Tommy
that's a good
Baldwin's car at all our open events, and as well as the fall final, I believe, right?
Yeah,
which is
for
awesome.
Sure.
It's
That's
great
through Al Hankey at Mohawk.
Yep. That's cool.
Like he worked at the shop, but I knew he didn't. You know, he says, "No, I'm not a training guy," because it's a redundant process. You do the same thing every day, building transmissions. You know, you get some changes, but basically it's the same thing. You know, and he's not really that type of guy. You know, my son. So I told him, I said, "Listen, go work for Al if you can," because he offered him a job. You know,
cool.
I said, "Go work for him for the summer." So he starts working there, and he's a college kid job, you know, where you do shit stuff. You know, you drive around in some truck, deliver crap or whatever.
Sweep the floor, yeah.
Yeah, dumb shit, you know, which is probably better if he worked with me, because he's probably not going to learn anything over there either. Well, he goes to the lady and he says, listen, not listen, but he says, I'd like to get on a job because, you know, I'm capable of doing more stuff. So they put him on a bridge job.
Oh, cool.
He worked out in Bridgewater, Connecticut, South. Yep. And he was there all summer.
Wow.
And they really like him. Like Danny Holland, John Holland's brother, he works for Hankey. He does everything for him. Crane, this, that, and everything. He loves the kid. But he's a good kid. He does, you know, did what they told him, really enjoyed it, got paid more because he was on a job, you know, versus doing, you know, a shit job like a college job. And then he worked for him when he was on break. And obviously Al likes him, you know, because he's a worker. You know, Al's a worker, man. That guy's like 70-something years old. He's on the job all the time. He works.
He's doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he's like me. I mean, I'm up 17 hours, and then most of the time I'm up working all the time, you know. So I think, you know, because the car that we got is from him. The one we run at Thompson is his car. I own like 90%.
That's the car that you had at Stafford before, right? The white car?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep, that's the original white car. Yeah, that's Al's car. But like everything on it, engine, rear end, shocks, blah, 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 is all mine because we changed all that when it was an SK Light because it was an SK Light, you know. But he's really good about it. He doesn't spend much on it. He helps me with certain things on it, you know. And I don't ask him for much, you know, because just not that way. If he can help me out with some things, he does. But he I think he's going to do some more. The start is to do that with him. And it may go more. I'm not sure. Al loves racing, but he loves dirt racing. He's big into dirt racing. But he spends a lot of money
at
on racing.
Stafford now, though. It's great. We love to have him at the open shows.
No, it'll be really good. I couldn't do that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I can bitch at your old man all
Yeah.
the time because I said, listen, if I'm coming there, I'm using my VP, and he won't let me do that. So I said, I'll never come then. But whatever, because that deal will be good for him because, I don't have anything to do with it, which is really good. It's less that I have to do. And Tommy's stuff is very, very good. It'll be a good program. He has really good guys that work on it. You talk about guys that work on a car.
They're pros.
Oh, my God.
They're professionals.
Man. I watched him last year when he ran that car.
That was a
Dude, they jump on the car when it comes.
Yeah.
When it comes in off the track, boom, they're on the thing. It's up in the air. They're doing this. Like there is very little talking, and everybody has their job. Yeah, Tommy does a really, really good job.
That's cool.
Yeah, it should be a good deal because he goes good in that.
He does. No, I think he ended up in top 10
Fourth
last year
with it.
after having
Getting
to pit
slow.
early. Yeah.
Yep.
So this is great.
This is.
But,
It's been fun.
We're all done already?
A rapid fire?
We got some rapid fire questions for you.
We're going to have
Go
to,
for it.
because if we keep going, we're going to talk for 10 hours.
Yeah,
We're just
exactly.
going to have to do a part
two?
2, a part 3, a part 4. Who knows?
That's all right.
But
I'm all right with it.
the rapid fire. So Kyle's going to ask you a couple of questions and just kind of tell us your immediate thought.
Biggest win?
If he remembers any, because he keeps telling us he doesn't remember a single win.
Dude, I'm trying to think. My biggest win. Probably the Sizzler I won it one year.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say probably that because it's such a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that.
It's a popular answer on the
It
show.
is. It's common.
Yeah.
Favorite racetrack?
You don't have to say Stafford.
By far, Watkins Glen with a modified.
Really?
The road
Oh
course.
my God! It was see Teddy and I road raced a lot too. We oval raced, but our big thing was road racing everywhere. So we
In the
loved
go-karts?
road racing.
In the
yes,
car- yeah, in the
go-karts. Yeah,
carts.
dude, it was by far the most fun I've ever had in my entire life.
So you were just a natural at that place too?
Oh my
Yeah,
God!
It looks
I
like a fun
started
track.
dead last. I drove Joe Brady's 00. Right, we get there, they're doing qualifying, and qualifying gets rained out.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck, man, I'm not in any points. I go, Joe, don't worry, Mikey, I'll see what's going on. You know the way Joe would talk, right? So Joe walks over somewhere, right, comes back, Mikey, we're in. I'm like, fuck yeah. Dude, I drove from 40th to 6th with that thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot of passing.
Dude,
a lot of action.
So much fun. Go through those S's, no restrictor plate.
Yeah.
Things are doing like 140 miles an
It's
hour.
a long, like
way
that
more.
whole straightaway there when the S is straightaway,
yeah,
but
because
as
it's
you're
like,
wound up, yeah.
then you hit the inner loop, car's up in the air. You beat the shit out of the thing. It was just
how
so
about
much fun.
your favorite road course track then? So if you had to
Oval.
pick an oval,
Oh, probably Stafford.
Stafford.
Yeah, I really enjoy Stafford. I mean, I've had both success at all of them. I won at Waterford but only one time, but I didn't really run there enough, or a lot. I really love racing at Thompson because Thompson is so different. Both of them, they're
He's
probably
just a
about
racer.
equal. to
He's
tell
just
you
a
the truth.
racer, huh? He likes everywhere he races.
What's that?
You're just a driver.
Yeah.
If there's a track that's got
Yep.
pavement or snow or ice, you're gonna race
Exactly.
on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So your least favorite racetrack?
I say probably the least favorite that I didn't run good, but we didn't get to race was Holland. I went there with Bear's car. We just weren't good. I wasn't comfortable with the place, but we only ran a few practice sessions. Then it got rained out.
It's a tight track, right? It's pretty small.
It's
Holland.
paint. It's I don't think
Picture
it's
Holland.
super
Is it
tight.
even around anymore?
I don't know.
I don't think it
I
is.
just know
I
when
don't
I
think
got
so.
there,
Yeah.
I just wasn't super comfortable with the place, And it's just because we weren't comfortable with the car.
Yeah.
It had a bad drive up off where it nosed itself up. It was uncomfortable because you're heading for the fence every time, But then we never got to race it. I liked Flemington. I got better at Flemington. Flemington was a roval too, Didn't go as good as I wanted, but I think if I had more practice there, I would have gotten better at it, But it was fun too, Or
Final one for you. Toughest competitor on the racetrack in your career?
probably my brother.
I figured that was the answer.
We'll cap it off on that.
Yeah,
Well, we appreciate you coming out. This has been an awesome podcast. I think our listeners are going to love the stories. I think there's a lot of content that people really haven't ever come across before with the Christophers and the karts and the snowmobiling and how the 13 got started, how the 82 got started, and you're an important part of the track here and then the history, and we're glad to that you're around with your son, and it's a blast that
Glad to be
you're
here.
at the track. So
Yeah, it's a lot
appreciate
of
coming
fun.
out.
All right, man.
Wrapping up this edition of the Bottom Shop podcast, and we say this all the time, but my God, some of the stories. And then, unfortunately, we didn't have a camera out here in the hall for the hour that we just spent with him afterwards.
We could have talked for days here. That was a great guest. Mike is an important part of the track and an important part of the history, and we're gonna have to have him back because we just spent another, like you said, like an hour talking about everything, about we're solving the world's problems, not just racing's problems, the world's problems. But great guest.
And he'll be around a while. Obviously, Mike Christopher Jr., his son, doing well in the SK Modified, still in the first couple of years of his career, and no doubt will be a contender here in 2020.
Yeah, that was a great guest. I'm excited. I can't wait to get the next guest on too. I just want to just
keep rolling.
Keep doing these things. This is a blast.
Absolutely. And stay tuned because there will be more of these shows here in the next month or so before we gear up for the Napa Springs Sizzler coming up soon. Get your tickets. They are available. StaffordSpeedway.com. Call the office here at the racetrack April 25th and 26th, right around the corner.
Going to be, as always, a good show. We got 7 classes of action going on here with capped off by the Tour.
Yep.
200 laps of action, and SKs on Sunday with the SK lights and the late models, and on Saturday we got qualifying and practice, and it's coming quick.
A lot going on, and we expect a lot of cars here. And don't forget, season pass discounts still available, at least for a couple of more days, as far as the discounted prices are concerned. March 15th?
Ends, yes, the 15th.
So pick those up before
it's a great deal.
Before that price goes away and it's adjusted for the rest of the year. It's been fun. Look forward to the next show.
We'll do it again soon.
Thank you for tuning in, and don't forget, stay tuned, StaffordSpeedway.com and all of the Stafford social media platforms for all the latest information.
Subscribe to our pages too.
That's right. Subscribe. See you
Thanks.
guys.